Hello, hello, hello. This year I'm going to focus a little bit more on hormone explanation and understanding what's going on. And as I learn, I want to try to educate as many people as I possibly can. I want to talk about leptin, ghrelin, and insulin. Leptin is a polypeptide hormone that's released by adipose tissue, and it's responsible for basically, with it being a polypeptide hormone from adipose tissue, it's responsible for telling your brain that you're full. And if you remember back in like the 60s or 70s, there were stories talked about when they were trying to understand leptin back then, but nobody really understood what was going on with leptin. And then in the early 90s, they started really studying. In about 94, they started studying leptin as an adipose tissue hormone. It's a polypeptide hormone. And they started realizing at that point that was your brain signaling to shut off your eating. Your body would, your adipose tissue would basically release the leptin hormone, and your brain would say, "Oh man, I've just got so much leptin in my system right now. I've got so much fat that's there available for energy. I don't need to eat right now." And that was its purpose of signaling. It was to help regulate that. But what would happen is if you had leptin, like really obese fat people that had tons of adipose tissue all over the place, they would have an abundance of leptin in the system just floating around, right? Just like insulin resistance, when you keep insulin high all the time, your body becomes resistive to it and it doesn't want to use what's in the insulin or the insulin itself anymore. It's the same thing with leptin. You got to a point where you would downregulate those receptors, or those receptors would almost shut themselves off, and they didn't see the signaling from leptin anymore, uh, because you're now becoming resistive to it instead of sensitive to it. So when your body is not receiving a signal from leptin and you've got plenty of adipose tissue all over the place, and you know the signaling should be there, but you're still not feeling like you're full, that's because your leptin is not being able to communicate with your brain properly so it can regulate your hormones via the hypothalamus and stuff like that. So when that's not happening, you can almost guarantee that you have some kind of leptin resistance, and there are only a certain number of ways that you can actually make that better. Now, what happens when your body becomes leptin resistant instead of sensitive is now your body's going to think, well, if I don't have this leptin that's available and it's telling me I'm full, either I'm going to speed up or I'm going to slow down certain conditions in my body. They're going to make things better or going to make things worse, right? So if I think about my metabolism in general, and I'm not seeing a signal to shut off the intake of food to let my body know that I'm full, I'm going to mess with my thyroid. I'm either going to downregulate or upregulate my metabolism. It's going to throw things all off all over the place. So leptin, we focus on insulin all the time, but we don't ever talk about how leptin works with our brain, how it works with our hormone regulation, how it works with our growth hormone, our testosterone production. There's all kinds of things it can work on. A lot of people at dinner time at night, they'll eat 6, 7 o'clock, and then after that, they want to snack on something before they go to bed. And this is for all you out there that like your cheese snackers and nuts and stuff like that. You guys think that stuff's healthy to eat before you go to bed, and it's really not. You eat something before you go to bed, again, because you don't want to feel hungry or something like that, or you think you're hungry, and you don't let your actual hormones talk to you. You don't let your hormones give you the signaling and stuff that you need. So we have ghrelin that lets us know we're hungry, and we have leptin that lets us know that we're full. And if those are not working together, our insulin's going to be out of whack. Our thyroid's not going to be able to upregulate or downregulate our metabolism properly, and we're going to be all out of whack. So in order for you to correct a lot of these problems, it's kind of like the same way with insulin resistance. If we know following the Dr. Jason Fung method is very, very effective when we fast, guess what happens when we fast? We start to get rid of some of that adipose tissue. And when we get rid of some of that adipose tissue, there's less leptin that's floating around in the system at that point, because now we're eating our own fat and there's less signaling going on, and now we can start to become more sensitive to leptin itself, because we're not just pounding our body. There's still leptin all the time. It's there. It's making us become resistive, right? So then when we start fasting as well to fix some kind of adipose tissue problem, so we're creating less leptin, so our brain can become more sensitive to what's going on, so our body can start functioning normal, then we turn around and we start fixing insulin resistance as well. Once we start fixing insulin resistance and leptin at the same time, our blood sugar's coming down as well naturally. Now our growth hormone's going up. What happens when our growth hormone goes up? Now we're able to actually synthesize and do things differently in the body that we weren't able to do before. Now we start more of that rebuilding, processing, ridding inflammation kind of deal like that. One of the number one things that people are deficient in that really affect their insulin levels, their leptin levels, their growth hormone levels is sleep. Sleep is the one thing that can mitigate exactly what's going on with your leptin levels. If you are not secreting that melatonin level and stuff in the brain, if you're not letting your body actually adjust and do what it has to do, because it uses stuff like leptin, insulin, growth hormone, all these things that we're taught to be kind of scared of, our body uses this to fix problems, regulate problems, down-regulate issues, and things of this nature. If you don't sleep, you're not going to get proper melatonin production. You're not going to get proper leptin regulation. And just a few hours into your sleep, some people can have leptin levels really, really high, right? That's because your body's trying to do all kinds of things while you're sleeping. You're going to utilize the most amount of calories while you're sleeping because that's your body's time to actually repair. That's your body's time to actually start making adjustments and stuff. And we don't pay attention to any of that stuff because we think that it's this magical thing of, she said, my sleep is my struggle. I am lucky if I get 4.5 hours. That's nowhere near enough sleep. And that's the number one thing that people should be focusing in. Closing your mouth when you sleep, breathing through your nose, getting that oxygen in your body so you start relieving a lot of that stress and stuff. Breathing better in general throughout the day when you're walking around and stuff. Close your mouth. Put a piece of tape over it. You actually have mouth tape to correct these problems. Focusing on sleeping in the proper positions and de-stressing yourself during the day. Stress is a huge factor when it comes to hormone regulation and secretion and the different types of taxation that we have that our body starts to I am a nose breather. Nose breathing is the healthiest way to do it. So, keeping your carbs as low as possible. Really getting into that deep phase of intermittent fasting as much as you possibly can and as often as you possibly can to correct a lot of the problems that you're having. They used to have, if you look at the fat pills and stuff like that, you remember when you go to the gas station and you look, it's got Skyjacker or Jacker or Stinger or whatever, and you've got the pills right there on the counter at the gas station that says leptin inside. Well, if you could actually learn to stay away from it, why did the pills not work? Because people with adipose tissue that had plenty of leptin in the body in general, now you're flooding the body with even more leptin. If you could effectively make leptin of the same caliber that's in the body, you could almost trick yourself that you could flood your body with leptin all the time. Just take these pills all the time that have leptin, and then guess what? If your leptin overcomes your ghrelin, then your body thinks, well, I must be full right now, so I don't want to eat. Well, that's not the way it worked. What ends up happening when you take caffeine and all this other stuff in your system while you're taking pills that have leptin in it, if it was actually proven to work, well, now you're dumping leptin into your system, but at the same time, you're jacking your caffeine way up and you're trying to speed up your metabolism when your body's trying to do the exact opposite. So if you're starving yourself and you're losing weight, your basal metabolic rate's changing, your caloric need for the day is changing, yet you're still playing around with your hormones. You're not getting enough sleep. You're staying stressed all the time. You're not getting proper growth hormone production. Everything in your body is regulated off your hormone production. So we do things daily that messes all this up, and we never focus on it. Our primary focus a lot of times is food quality and how much food we're eating. It shouldn't be that way. Our primary focus should be on everything else that's going on in our life in general, and then the quality of the food we're eating and how much we're eating. How many other things in your life every single day affect what goes on, what you eat, that dictates your mood, it dictates your relationship with your loved ones? Don't tell me that it's very minimal, because 99% of you are lying if you say that. Most of the things that happen in our day are what dictate exactly how our mood is, how we react to our loved ones, the time we put into our stuff. So everything, stress in general, the amount of sleep that you got. If you woke up in the morning, your loved one that was laying next to you didn't say good morning or give you the kiss on the cheek that they normally do, or you didn't get your morning session in before you went in about your day, and all of a sudden your whole day is screwed up. Then you get to work and your boss is yelling at you. Customers are jerks to you. People yelling at you on the phone. You got patients at the hospital throwing their food trays at you, whatever it may be. All these things dictate exactly what's going on. And then if you're in a financial bind on top of that, as well as you're trying to figure out what's going on with your kids because they have problems at school, and now you're trying to figure out all these other things that are going on in your life on top of your food. Your food is there, okay? You're going to eat, you're going to make good choices and stuff like that. So the one thing that people should focus on is let's get these other things together first. Because if these other things aren't together first, my stress hormone's going to be off. My cortisol levels are going to be all jacked up. My leptin's going to be all over the place. My growth hormone's going to be way down. I'm not getting enough sleep. I've got a number of issues going on here. How am I ever going to be efficient? Or how am I going to ever efficiently work on myself if I have nothing in check? Nothing. I mean, my hormones are just a raging mess all over the place. This is precisely one of the reasons why people don't heal. This is one of the main reasons why people don't gain muscle mass. This is one of the reasons why people, 6 months into a ketogenic diet, they're saying, I'm not losing anything. What's going on? This is one of the main reasons that people keep consistently making poor choices because their hormones are speaking to them and they're misinterpreting a lot of it. You need to really pay attention and hone in on your lifestyle in general. If you can hone in on your lifestyle in general, a lot of this stuff will come back into check and it'll start to align for you. Every night I go to sleep, I try, and I'm not saying I can't guarantee this either. I want to try to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. 6 hours, I still feel kind of good. But 7, 8 hours of sleep, I'm to the point where I'm really feeling good. Beyond that, it makes me feel bad. I can't sleep more than that. I don't feel right sleeping more than that. So I know that's happening for me. But it wasn't until recently. I went for almost 4 months staying up every single night. I would stay up every single night helping you guys come up with your meal plans and make videos and get stressed out over keto groups and Facebook groups and everything else until like 2 months ago, I finally said I had enough of this. I can't do this no more. I'll give them my time when I can give them my time, but I got to start focusing on my life and do what works for me. I got to start focusing on my good nutrition, the quality of life that I'm living, and guess what? I went back to losing weight again. Last month I gained about 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. I was hitting the weights hard. And then I was purposely trying to gain because I was starting to get more loose skin around my midsection. But over the last 4 months in general, me starting to slowly take more time for myself, I was able to put more muscle mass on, focus on my life a little bit more, get better quality sleep and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden my health started changing. So now I'm to the point where I'm going back into this weight loss phase again for the next couple months before I get back into building again. That's how I do things because I was so big and overweight before. I had so much loose skin. But once I realized that the more adipose tissue that I get rid of, the less leptin that I'm going to have floating around in my system, and the less sensitive or the more sensitive I'm going to become to it. So I'm trying to reduce as much leptin as possible right now so my body can become sensitive to using it because I know that's what it was. I had so much fat mass all over the place. My body just did not want to use things correctly. And then when that happens, your thyroid gets all screwed up. Your thyroid doesn't know what to do. Your thyroid's going to end up downregulating or upregulating your metabolism. Everything comes from that. Everything comes from insulin, thyroid hormone, leptin, growth hormone. These are our main hormones that change things in the body, ghrellin in general. And a lot of times I try to tell people to lay off this bulletproof coffee stuff, lay off the fat bombs and everything like that. And I know you guys don't like me saying that, but look, most of the things that I've been telling you over the last few years have come to light now. Look at the carnivore diet. I was doing carnivore back with Sean Baker. When he was doing it, everybody was telling me I'm a fool. Well, now all of a sudden these people are doing the carnivore diet and they're like, man, Sean Baker was right. It actually works. And I was trying to tell people, and people were telling me, you're silly. Now all of a sudden everybody's doing carnivore, and they're like, man, it really does work, and it's not that bad, especially if you cycle on and off of it, keto, carnivore. It could be a powerful tool. But people thought I was silly, and now here all of a sudden it's starting to come to light. I'm not saying I'm the creator of it. I'm not even trying to draw attention to that. I'm just saying a lot of the things that I learned over the years that I've been talking about, yes, leptin resistance is a thing. Leptin resistant and insulin resistance is a thing. But the reason we don't know that much about it, Scott, is because it wasn't until like 94 when more and more doctors started getting involved. And there was one doctor in particular that really started studying it. And when he started seeing that whenever you would take mice and you would give them certain amounts of leptin, it would trigger their brain to see it, and it would shut different hormone reactions off in the hypothalamus, and your body would now all of a sudden think, I'm full right now, I don't need to eat, and they would decrease in size. But then when they would take the leptin away, and they would almost like inhibit it like a blocker or something to that nature and make the rat confused or the mice confused, they couldn't really get a good leptin signal, and they were becoming leptin resistant based on their adipose tissue, and it was flooding their body all the time, that they actually started gaining more weight and more weight and more weight because they were never receiving that signal from their adipose tissue saying, hey, you've got enough fat on your body already, quit eating. When they didn't see that signal coming from leptin, your body thinks, man, I need to eat. I need to keep going. I need to keep going. So it was a thing that people just didn't understand. They could feel that ghrelin hormone saying, I'm hungry all the time, but they could never get the signal from leptin. One has to overcome the other. So if ghrelin's low and leptin's high, then your body naturally thinks, I don't need to eat right now. I've got plenty of stored energy. I've got all this potential energy to be used, and I need to use it. Hunger comes from ghrelin, your hormone ghrelin. Insulin is secreted to get rid of blood sugar. So if there's sugar in your blood, insulin is secreted to remove the sugar from your blood. But it's also used in regulation and movement of different hormones, and I don't really want to get too much into insulin because I don't understand it to the bodybuilder or like the actual real scientist nature. But insulin is your fat storage hormone. That's what's going to take the sugar and everything else, and it's going to get it out of your blood. It's going to pack it away. It's going to take it where it needs to go. Ghrelin's going to tell you you're hungry. You need to eat right now. Leptin's going to tell you, look, I'm full right now. So when when your adipose tissue releases your leptin protein, your peptide hormone, what's going to end up happening is your brain thinks, hey, I'm full. I don't need to eat right now. I'm getting my leptin signal. My body's telling me I've got plenty of fat. I don't need to be eating. But then once you start to lose or you downregulate that leptin level, what ends up happening is your body says, yeah, look, I'm seeing this ghrelin hormone right now. I'm hungry right now. Growl, ghrelin growl, the body growl, the stomach growl. Ghrelin, that's how I remember it. Well, now I'm hungry. That must be my hormone ghrelin talking to me. I really need to eat something right now. Or blood sugar drops low, right? And you start to feel a little lightheaded. You start to feel a little faint. Then your body naturally starts to trigger that ghrelin hormone and say, hey, we need to start increasing this some because we need to get that blood sugar back up. We need to make this guy feel like he's a little hungry right now so we get some food in here. Well, your body starts eating, right? So here, blood sugar starts to rise because you're eating stuff that's going to make your blood sugar respond. Insulin comes along and starts pulling that sugar out of your blood. So now it has to be transported somewhere. Reduce leptin levels by reducing adipose tissue. Reducing leptin resistance by getting more sleep, substantially more sleep. Making sure that you're de-stressed during the day. Making sure that you're doing forms of intermittent fasting or some kind of prolonged fasting. And what in turn, that will reduce adipose tissue, reducing leptin, reducing the amount of resistance that you have to it, making you more sensitive. There's a number of ways. And some activity as well. Being active a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, something like that. That also helps with leptin resistance. There's a number of things that can be done to mitigate the process, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like I know every single thing in a world, but I know some of the hormone basics. Retiring in 6 years. Well, you've got plenty of time to be stressed and have your leptin release all messed up, so we can all start practicing that now, right? Yes, it will. Reducing stress now, though, can really help a lot. It can speed up the process. That explains how to get abs is take the melatonin. Well, and that's the thing, though. It's part of if your leptin's all over the place, your melatonin levels. So when you go to sleep, that's when a lot of leptin is going to be released, right? Or your leptin is going to be higher or it's going to be lower, depending on what process your body wants to go through. That's when your melatonin is going to really need to be you're going to need to be secreting melatonin based on really good deep sleep, right? A really healthy sleeping pattern daily, getting into a good routine. And when all these things meet and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, you're eating a low glycemic diet, keeping your carbs and stuff low, getting good quality fats and proteins, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, guess what happens? You heal. Your adipose tissue continues to go down. Just naturally de-stressing yourself, getting more sleep in general, eating good quality food, and exercising a little bit from time to time is what's going to correct a lot of that stuff. Now, when you reduce calories to the point where um, you're restricting yourself so much of caloric intake, now we're not getting calories and stuff in. Leptin levels, ghrelin levels, insulin levels, all this stuff is going to be affected by that. And now our body starts to slow down, and our thyroid starts to actually reduce our metabolic rate because we're not actually intaking the right amount of food that we need for a body our size. So if I can burn 3,200 calories a day and I go on a calorie restriction diet, now I'm reducing my dietary intake to a point where it's probably going to be dangerous. Now my thyroid sees that I don't have anywhere near the calories coming into my body anymore. My body's detecting that something's not right, and the only way to start saving things is by down-regulating my metabolism because I'm just not eating for a healthy body type my size. So there's a number of things that can happen with hormone deregulation, upregulation, not getting enough sleep, stress, not eating the right foods, not doing any kind of workout, not getting in financial control of yourself or your relationships and things of that nature. And the one thing, if you can take out of this, the one single thing that I want anybody to take out of this video here is, if you're working in a relationship with a loved one and you're financially stressed, or you're worried about your job or something like that, 9 times out of 10, if you fix that kind of stuff first, you will naturally make better choices when it comes to food. You're going to naturally make better choices and feel good about yourself in general when it comes to your health if you start taking care of all the supporter things that go on around you. Because if you don't have the support system around you, you're not going to make good choices when it comes to you. If the support system's there and that's healthy, you're going to put more time into yourself, and you're going to actually worry more about, okay, I need to be healthy for the people that are supporting me. So that's what you should do. If you're stressed out, if you got a lot of other problems going on in your life, you need to really focus on fixing those problems, or else your nutrition, you can blame it on keto all day. You can blame it on carnivore or vegan or paleo or whatever all day. You can say this diet's not working. It's not working. It's not helping me. It's not fixing me. But then you look at the rest of your life and you're falling apart. You had to put the electric bill off last month to pay next month so you can make your rent. Or you had to put off your insurance last month because you know they're going to let you go for 2 months before they lapse your insurance. So it's a matter of taking care of the things that support you in your life so you can support yourself through your life via your nutrition. So exercise does help me sleep. Last night I went to the gym for about 40 minutes, and I don't even do extensive I don't do extensive working out anymore either, though. When I go to the gym to work out, I'm like, last night I did like a bunch of dumbbell press, and then I did shoulders, lateral raises, vertical raises. Then I went and did some easy curls and stuff with the easy curl bar. And then I went over and I did some deadlifts and some squats. And I did some lat pull downs or whatever. And I just did a couple sets of each, enough to stress myself, get my body moving, put myself under a load, and I got out of the gym. I don't stay there that stuff. I go in there, I hit it heavy a little bit, 35, 40 minutes, and I get out and I'm done. I get better results staying in there like a monster and just killing it. I don't see the need in doing that anymore. Anyhow, that's it on this video. I'm going to go focus on the last, 30 minutes of my lunch, and then I'll catch you guys later. I hope you benefited something from this video. If you think anybody can benefit from this video, please share it to your keto groups, your carnivore groups, or whatever it is. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that little bell notification down there.